Hey guys, Tactical. So I'm gonna try this, and I don't know if it's gonna work out or not. But one of the reasons I haven't been putting out a lot of video content lately is I just don't have the time. And when I say that, I don't mean like I don't have the time, because I obviously make time, but I've got stuff that's a lot more of a priority. And when I do put videos out, like, I try to keep them under 10 minutes, and I try to kind of stay on topic and stay to the point. And I just don't have the time to be that focused right now with, we've got 4 major projects going on the property right now, aside from everything else and animals and all of that. So I'm going to try just kind of turning the camera on and letting you see the reality of the situation, which is going to be a little more rambly. But, I mean, I'm multitasking right now and filling water bottles up and making a cup of coffee. But when I say showing the reality, I mean, I've never tried to hide the reality. But the fact of the matter is, when you live on a homestead, like, all these people that put out the stuff where it's like perfect, and they go out and feed the animals in the morning and then put them to bed at night and then sit on the front porch and have a cup of coffee, that ain't reality. It ain't. This place is getting rehab because it was so dilapidated when Nicole purchased this property that it was listed as raw land. So it's taken a lot of work to get to where it's actually functional, which it is right now. But I'm working to get it to where it's not just functional, to where it looks nice and it's efficient too, so that stuff doesn't take anywhere near as long as it does now. And we've made a lot of progress. So I'm definitely not trying to discourage anybody from getting into it, but you need to be aware of what you're getting into, because if you think it's just about going out and throwing some feed for some chickens and calling it good for the day, you ain't gonna do it for very long. I can tell you, this stuff sucks right now. Normally the projects we're doing, I'd rather do in the summer, because it's been below freezing for a while now. I mean, it's above freezing right now, just barely, but the ground is frozen solid in a lot of places while we've been working, and it just sucks. I'm gonna flip the camera around and show a couple of things, because when I talk about time and I say that I don't have the time, it's not because I'm scrolling through Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook in probably 2 years. Even like the equivalent MeWe, which I prefer over Facebook, I haven't hardly been on that in the last year. But this over here, this is all Vinca vine. The stuff right here, that's what it does on the ground. It'll put down a taproot, and then it sends out runners like this guy, and it goes and goes and goes. And then it'll also, once it gets up on a tree, I've cut this stuff out, like you can see right there where I cut it. So that's dying slowly. But this is a good one over here. When this stuff gets onto a tree, I mean, that's as big around as a baseball, a little bit wider. And this whole area right here, this rock wall, used to be covered like that part of the rock wall. There's actually a rock wall under there, believe it or not. There is a rock wall. This goes all the way across. This is the pile of what I pulled out. But, it takes me time to do that. Same token, that stuff used to cover from the driveway here, and it used to go all the way across here, all the way over to the far corner over there, all the way across up by where that kayak is and all the way across the driveway over there. And I yanked all of that out of here, and I built this set of rock retaining walls and turned this into a garden area because I was having to come through here with a weed eater and cut down brush that's taller than I am because you just couldn't control it. And I mean, this took me a long while to do. It was well worth it. And when I say a long while, I'd pick at it at night with the porch light, you know, move some rocks over here during the day, and then at night, you know, I'd get the rocks into position while I didn't have anything else to do. But we're making progress. Like, we're not doing nothing. We're using our time as efficiently as we can. And everything's getting better. This carport wasn't always here. We got this put in. It looks like a train wreck under here right now because we've got all the stuff from in front of the house, like those garden tools, and that bin of stuff was all in front of the house. All of this came out of the prepper pantry, which is right here, because we had a freezer that was sitting right there that we wanted to move in there while we're below freezing. So we just haven't had a chance yet to get that reorganized back in there with the freezer. And it ain't gonna hurt nothing with that being out. But like I said, we've got a bunch of big projects. This is one. And we got 8 out of 12 posts set. And so, you know, this has taken a lot of work. It took a lot of work to tear down the roof that went from right here where there's no gutter to where that cinder block is there. And then of course we had to move all the stuff, and then this roof over here still has to come down. We're leaving it up till closer to time when the new roof goes on, so we've got this stuff that's still under cover. But I'm also thinking 10 steps ahead on this. It's like playing chess. So that outlet is the only outlet out here. There's a bunch of junction boxes up here with wires hanging out, and those are not capped and taped and made safe because they're dead. There's no juice going to them. Same thing over here. There's another outlet right there that's dead. So thinking 10 steps ahead, instead of trying to fool around with that, which doesn't really make sense to have outlets up there anyway, I'm thinking about what we're doing after this roof is finished, which is probably going to be something along the lines of right there is going to be a post. So probably somewhere over here, we're going to run Romex through conduit coming down the side of that pole, and that will be the first outlet that goes in under here, and then we'll run, you know, conduit across and down a couple of these other poles to get power there too. We use this for a lot of events, so this is usually, we'll put up a circus tent, and this will be where people eat and kind of hang out and whatnot. So, you know, it'll be nice to have some outlets out here. And then when we're not doing events, we can use it for running tools or anything else that we need. But, you know, I'm showing all this just to say, you know, when I say that I don't have the time, it's not because I'm wasting my time. It's because I'm doing stuff like this. This place is far more efficient now than it used to be. I mean, it used to be every other day, it seemed like. We were down in that pump house dicking around with the water system. And I've got that really stabilized. I kind of rebuilt the whole thing in there as kind of a temporary thing just to get by, but I did it in a way that could be permanent. The reason it's not permanent is it's not the way that is best, and it looks ugly. I mean, it just looks ugly. So we've got a couple of new pumps. That's one of them. There's the other guy. We've got it pulled out of the box because we're looking at actually getting that installed. But this is what I built. So you've got the line coming out of the tank, goes into the pump, comes out of the pump, comes down here to a pressure switch and the expansion tank. So when that switch senses a drop in pressure, it turns the pump on and then pressurizes that tank, which pushes water down the pipe across that way. One of those goes to the main house, the other goes to the cabin that I live in. Functional, ugly, I don't like it, so it's going to get redone when we have time to do it the right way. So what we're looking at doing is taking that breaker box and moving it over here. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to get hard mounted, but it's going to get hard mounted to that cinder block, because the cinder block, unlike those 2x4s, isn't going to rot. And then we're putting in the control box there for the new pump, which will go into there and get plumbed straight out of that cistern straight into that. I'm not going to go through the whole thing of what we're doing, but, you know, that's basically the gist of what we're looking at doing. Is that's a lot better than what was there. It actually works right now. It just could be better. It could use less power. It could be a little more efficient. We could have higher water pressure in the house, so forth and so on. So I'm taking my time to plan that out. And then when the time comes, we'll start piecing it together for the long-term foreseeable future. But it's all about using your time. I mean, people say you don't have time. What are you using your time for? I mean, are you gonna end up with a roof and a carport and an event space as the fruits of the time that you spent? Or is it just gonna be a bunch of thumbs up on Facebook that gets you nothing? You know, even when it comes to like watching YouTube, I like watching videos, but when I'm watching videos, I'm watching stuff to learn usually. You know, I've watched a bunch of videos on how people are doing plumbing and electrical stuff just so I can figure out how to do that stuff better. This is another major undertaking that we're working on. We got the retaining wall up there that's mostly finished. I could stop right there and it would be good with what we have there, but I want to add some more to the top. And then we got all the way down to there, and that's where we actually stopped at. So we got to come back in with the excavator, dig what's washing out down there, back out, and then continue that retaining wall across that way. And then I've got a little bit more rock down there that I need to chisel out to get this section to drain. So, you know, that's on my priority list, but nothing's gonna catch on fire or freeze because of that, so I really haven't touched it in a little while. This is one of those things that once we started on this, you gotta keep going, or else you're gonna end up with this whole hillside washing into the house. So anyway, I guess I've been rambling for about 15 minutes now, but that's just kind of what's going through my mind. Had a really long night last night taking a dog to the vet, so I had a lot of time to think. That was a fun filled evening. Dog opened herself up pretty good. I don't think I've seen an injury that bad on an animal, even that one, with the exception of getting hit by a car, getting shot with a deer rifle. So I didn't get in bed till about 2 last night, and then back at the vet again this morning, so I had plenty of time to think. But I was using that time to think about all this. Figuring out some of the electrical for that, what the next step's gonna be on that rock wall. Eventually we're probably putting a hay barn over there, so I was thinking about that. So anyway, guys, till next time, bye.